Your brain decides who to obey long before conscious thinking even begins. This decision happens silently, automatically, and without asking for your permission. By the time you feel agreement forming, obedience has already started internally. You don't notice obedience beginning because it doesn't feel aggressive or forceful. You only notice yourself complying and assume it was your own choice. Authority does not start with commands, threats, or visible dominance. Authority begins with emotional signals your nervous system already trusts. Calm voices signal safety to the brain faster than logic ever could. Certainty feels comforting because uncertainty creates mental strain and anxiety. Confidence feels like competence, even when evidence is completely missing. Your brain is biologically wired to reduce uncertainty whenever possible. Uncertainty requires energy, focus, and constant decision-making. Authority reduces that effort by offering direction and psychological structure. When structure appears, resistance naturally weakens without conscious debate. This response is not weakness, stupidity, or lack of intelligence. This response is biological efficiency built into human survival systems. Your nervous system prefers guidance over chaos, especially in complex situations. The more pressure you feel, the stronger this preference becomes. Stress amplifies obedience because clarity feels like relief under uncertainty. Authority organizes your environment psychologically before organizing it externally. Order feels calming because the brain associates structure with safety. Calm environments lower critical thinking without you noticing the shift. Lower critical thinking increases automatic trust and faster compliance. This is why calm people often feel powerful without raising their voices. They don't rush conversations or pressure decisions aggressively. They don't over-explain or justify themselves unnecessarily. They speak slowly, clearly, and without emotional urgency. They pause comfortably, allowing silence to do psychological work. That pause signals confidence to the brain observing them. Your brain fills silence with assumptions of competence and control. Silence suggests certainty, not confusion, when paired with calm presence. Certainty creates authority without a single command being spoken. Authority then signals safety at a subconscious emotional level. Safety automatically lowers mental defenses and internal questioning. No argument is needed for this process to work. No logical proof is required to trigger compliance. The emotional experience itself performs the persuasion silently. This explains why uniforms immediately change how people behave. Titles instantly affect credibility even before actions are observed. Age often signals experience whether experience is present or not. Structured language and routines create authority through predictability. These signals work not because they are always accurate. They work because they reduce uncertainty in the brain. Your brain often trusts stability more than truth. Truth requires effort, evaluation, and independent thinking. Stability feels immediate, calming, and emotionally efficient. Authority therefore feels like psychological relief. Relief produces comfort, and comfort produces trust. What feels comforting often feels morally correct. This is where obedience becomes invisible to awareness. You don't feel controlled because nothing feels threatening. You feel guided, supported, and mentally unburdened. Guidance feels helpful, not restrictive or limiting. Helpfulness feels ethical, responsible, and socially acceptable. Ethical feelings reduce the urge to question authority. This is how authority bypasses skepticism without confrontation, not by force, but by emotional efficiency and certainty. Once accepted, authority becomes self-reinforcing inside your mind. Your brain begins defending authority automatically against doubt. Questioning authority now feels uncomfortable instead of necessary. Discomfort pushes the brain back toward obedience. This loop continues unless awareness interrupts the pattern. Awareness does not require rebellion or confrontation. It only requires slowing down internal reactions. When you slow down, emotional certainty loses its grip. Authority weakens when you observe how it feels internally. Notice the relief, the calm, and the urge to comply. Those feelings explain obedience better than words ever could. Understanding this restores choice without creating conflict. And choice is where real psychological freedom begins. Authority strengthens when it is rarely questioned in everyday situations. The brain assumes unchallenged signals must be correct or reliable. Repetition trains obedience without requiring conscious agreement each time. The more often authority feels safe, the more automatic compliance becomes. This process happens quietly through routine interactions and subtle cues. Daily exposure reinforces authority faster than dramatic moments ever could. Small decisions given away slowly create long-term psychological dependence. Dependence feels practical, not emotional, which makes it harder to detect. Your brain prefers delegation when responsibility feels heavy or overwhelming. Authority offers mental shortcuts that feel efficient and responsible. Shortcuts save energy but reduce independent evaluation over time. Eventually, your brain stops checking whether guidance actually makes sense. Trust becomes habit rather than conscious choice. Habits feel natural even when they reduce personal agency. This is why obedience often feels comfortable rather than restrictive. Comfort hides the cost of surrendered decision-making. The cost appears later as confusion or self-doubt. You begin questioning your judgment instead of the authority itself. Self-doubt protects authority by redirecting blame inward. Authority rarely needs to defend itself when self-doubt does the work. This dynamic explains why confident figures dislike hesitation or questioning. Questions interrupt emotional flow and restore analytical thinking. Restored thinking weakens automatic obedience immediately. This is why authority prefers speed over reflection. Fast decisions prevent emotional certainty from being examined closely. Urgency increases compliance by limiting available mental space. When rushed, your brain chooses safety over accuracy. Authority often presents itself during moments of uncertainty or pressure. Pressure amplifies the desire for guidance and clarity. Clarity feels valuable, even when it is incomplete or misleading. Incomplete clarity still feels better than unresolved uncertainty. This preference explains why confident mistakes feel convincing. Authority can be wrong and still feel trustworthy. Feeling replaces verification when emotional comfort dominates cognition. Your brain confuses emotional calm with factual accuracy. This confusion benefits authority by reducing challenge and resistance. Authority becomes less about truth and more about emotional regulation. Whoever regulates emotion often regulates decisions. Decision influence is power disguised as support. Support feels benevolent, not controlling or invasive. Benevolence disarms suspicion more effectively than aggression. Aggression triggers resistance, while calm guidance invites trust. Your brain rewards calm influence with loyalty and consistency. Loyalty reinforces authority even when outcomes disappoint. Disappointment gets rationalized instead of questioned directly. Rationalization protects authority from accountability. Accountability threatens emotional stability, which the brain avoids. Avoidance keeps authority intact through psychological inertia. Inertia maintains obedience without active reinforcement. This is how authority persists even without ongoing competence. Authority becomes a mental reference point rather than a verified source. Reference points shape perception without appearing influential. Perception then shapes behavior automatically. Behavior reinforces belief, completing the obedience loop. Breaking the loop requires noticing emotional responses, not arguments. Arguments strengthen authority when emotions remain unexamined. Emotion is the entry point for influence, not logic. Logic enters only after authority feels established. By then, logic often serves obedience instead of evaluation. Awareness reverses this order slowly and deliberately. You begin noticing internal reactions before external compliance. Pausing interrupts automatic emotional momentum. Pauses restore mental space for independent judgment. Judgment weakens the emotional grip of authority. Authority loses strength when it must explain itself. Explanations invite scrutiny instead of automatic trust. Scrutiny reactivates critical thinking pathways. Critical thinking dissolves emotional certainty. Without certainty, authority becomes just another opinion, and opinions require evaluation, not obedience. Authority feels powerful only when it remains emotionally unquestioned. Once questioned calmly, authority begins losing its psychological weight. This loss does not happen through confrontation or rebellion. It happens through quiet observation of internal reactions. Notice how certainty feels in your body before you comply. That feeling reveals more than the words being spoken. Certainty often appears as relief, not logical confidence. Relief signals reduced responsibility, not increased truth. Reduced responsibility feels attractive when decisions feel heavy. Authority thrives where responsibility is avoided rather than shared. Shared responsibility requires thinking, uncertainty, and personal judgment. Personal judgment feels risky compared to emotional safety. Authority offers safety by absorbing uncertainty for you. But absorbed uncertainty does not disappear, it accumulates silently. Over time, accumulation reduces confidence in your own judgment. This reduction feels humility, but it is often conditioning. Conditioning teaches the brain to defer rather than evaluate. Evaluation slows action, which authority prefers to avoid. Speed protects authority by preventing deeper analysis. Slowing down reintroduces choice where obedience once felt automatic. Choice restores agency without creating unnecessary conflict. Agency feels uncomfortable initially because it requires responsibility. Discomfort signals growth, not danger or incompetence. Authority relies on avoiding this discomfort whenever possible. Avoidance keeps emotional certainty intact and unchallenged. When certainty fades, authority must rely on reasoning instead. Reasoning exposes gaps that certainty previously concealed. These gaps weaken the emotional grip authority depends upon. Weakening does not destroy authority, it simply humanizes it. Humanized authority becomes negotiable rather than absolute. Negotiation replaces obedience with mutual evaluation. Evaluation restores balance between guidance and independence. Balance prevents authority from becoming psychological dominance. Dominance begins where evaluation disappears completely. Evaluation disappears when emotional comfort overrides curiosity. Curiosity disrupts certainty by introducing alternative possibilities. Alternative possibilities reduce emotional dependency on authority. Dependency often masquerades as trust, loyalty, or respect. True respect allows questioning without fear of emotional consequences. When questioning feels dangerous, authority has already crossed a boundary. That boundary exists inside perception, not external behavior. Perception determines whether authority feels optional or absolute. Absolute authority discourages self-trust through subtle emotional pressure. Self-trust weakens when decisions are consistently outsourced. Outsourcing decisions feels efficient but reduces long-term clarity. Clarity returns when responsibility is reclaimed gradually. Reclaiming responsibility begins with noticing internal reactions. Internal reactions reveal influence faster than external evidence. Influence is felt before it is understood intellectually. Understanding follows awareness, not the other way around. Awareness transforms obedience into conscious cooperation. Cooperation preserves autonomy while allowing guidance. Autonomy protects against blind obedience without rejecting leadership. Leadership becomes healthy when it invites awareness. Healthy authority tolerates questioning without emotional withdrawal. Withdrawal is often used to punish hesitation subtly. Punishment reinforces obedience through emotional discomfort. Recognizing this pattern removes its hidden power. Power fades when emotional mechanics are seen clearly. Clarity dissolves control without confrontation or resistance. This is why awareness feels quiet, not dramatic. Quiet awareness restores choice without creating enemies. Choice allows engagement instead of submission. Engagement strengthens judgment rather than suppressing it. Judgment matures through experience, not obedience. Experience requires risk, responsibility, and uncertainty. Uncertainty becomes manageable when no longer feared. Authority loses influence when fear is removed from decision-making. Fear disguises obedience as safety. Removing fear reveals obedience for what it truly is, a habit formed to avoid discomfort. Habits can be changed once they are noticed, not through force, but through consistent awareness. Consistency weakens authority faster than rebellion ever could. Rebellion strengthens authority by creating opposition. Awareness dissolves authority by removing emotional fuel. Without fuel, authority becomes guidance instead of control. Guidance supports growth without replacing judgment. Judgment returns when responsibility is accepted willingly. Willing responsibility creates internal stability. Internal stability reduces dependence on external certainty. Reduced dependence restores psychological balance. Balance allows authority to exist without domination. Domination only survives when awareness is absent. Once awareness is present, domination becomes obvious. Obvious control loses its effectiveness quickly. This is why subtle authority prefers invisibility. Visibility forces authority to justify itself openly. Justification invites evaluation instead of obedience. Evaluation restores equality in decision-making. Equality protects against psychological overreach. Overreach collapses when emotional compliance disappears. Emotional compliance fades through understanding, not resistance. Understanding transforms power dynamics naturally. Natural transformation avoids unnecessary conflict. Conflict distracts from the real mechanism of control. The mechanism operates quietly inside perception. Once perception changes, behavior follows effortlessly. Effortless change feels stable and sustainable. This stability is the opposite of obedience. Stability allows cooperation without surrender. Surrender happens when certainty replaces curiosity. Curiosity restores agency and personal authority. Personal authority balances external influence. Balanced influence supports growth rather than control. Growth requires awareness, not submission. Submission feels easier but limits long-term development. Development strengthens clarity and self-trust. Self-trust reduces automatic obedience significantly. Reduced obedience creates room for intentional choice. Intentional choice defines psychological freedom. Freedom does not reject authority, it contextualizes it. Context reveals when authority serves or restricts growth. Recognizing this difference changes how influence feels. Influence becomes optional rather than automatic. Optional influence restores mental autonomy. Autonomy ends the cycle of unconscious obedience. Ending the cycle does not require confrontation. It requires awareness applied consistently over time. Consistency builds internal stability stronger than authority ever could. This stability makes external certainty less seductive. When certainty loses appeal, authority loses leverage. Leverage disappears when emotional hooks are recognized. Recognized hooks no longer control behavior. Behavior returns to conscious choice. Choice restores dignity without demanding rebellion. Dignity grows quietly through self-awareness. Self-awareness protects against subtle influence. Protection emerges naturally once patterns are understood. Understanding replaces fear with clarity. Clarity weakens authority without creating instability. Instability favors authority more than clarity ever does. Clarity therefore becomes the strongest defense. Defense throw. Awareness requires no aggression. Aggression reinforces authority by creating emotional reaction. Calm observation dissolves authority quietly. Quiet dissolution leaves no resistance to fight. Without resistance, control loses momentum. Momentum fades when emotional energy is withdrawn. Withdrawing energy returns power internally. Internal power feels steady, not dramatic. Steady power supports long-term psychological freedom. Freedom begins where obedience ends, and obedience ends with awareness.